I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
Let me put it very clearly. You have no constitutional right to endanger the public and spread a disease, even if you disagree. You have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business.
Wait, can I stop you? No right not to be vaccinated, meaning if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm.
Take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm.
In 1983, Monsanto scientists led by Robert Fraley became the first in history to genetically modify plants. This pivotal achievement ushered in a new era for agriculture, the era of GMOs. 2 years ago, Monsanto's GMO seeds accounted for 80% of the USA's total corn acreage, and today that number is even higher. One reason for Monsanto's immense success in the seed business is their creative use of patents on their seeds. Farmers who plant Monsanto's GMO seeds are subject to strict rules about what they can actually do with them. They are not allowed, for example, to replant these seeds, nor to sell or share them with anyone else, thus ensuring that Monsanto's revenue remains stable and growing. The language of these rules is so convoluted that farmers could potentially be found liable even in cases when the wind randomly blows Monsanto seeds from a neighbor's farm.
An attempt by organic farmers in the U.S. to get Monsanto to promise never to sue them for accidentally growing their genetically modified seeds has failed. Political strategist and author of the book Seeds of Destruction, The Hidden Agenda of GMO. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, how serious is this ruling for farmers who are caught out growing GM crops through no actual fault of their own?
Well, it's quite serious, and it's really outrageous that the Supreme Court once again has taken the side of Monsanto and the GMO cartel and ruled against natural farming. The implications of this are huge because, first of all, Monsanto lied in its statement to the Supreme Court. They lied brazenly by saying they never had and never will sue farmers for inadvertent, as the term is, inadvertent contamination of their fields. But they have sued countless farmers. Percy Schmeiser, a farmer in Canada, is a vivid example of that. But Monsanto has a team of lawyers that go out and terrorize farmers in the US and Canada. When the wind blows the seeds from a Monsanto field across to a non-Monsanto field, it says, okay, now you have to pay. So this is like the mafia selling protection.
Well, I mean, surely, Monsanto has to keep its copyright and keep the threat of suing farmers. I mean, it spent huge amounts of money developing the genetically modified seeds, after all.
Right, and keep the threat of suing farmers. I mean, it spent huge amounts of money developing the genetically modified seeds, after all.
Patents protect inventive ideas themselves. In the United States, the Patent and Trademark Office issues patents to inventors who can demonstrate their inventions are new and useful. Patents provide the inventor a 20-year period of exclusive control over their idea, preventing anyone else from making, using, selling, or importing the invention into the United States. Patent holders can recover their lost profits, or a reasonable royalty, from anyone who infringes their patent, and up to triple damages from anyone who infringes willfully. Patent holders can also obtain a court order preventing infringers from making, using, selling, or importing any products based on their patents.
So, how do you make a vaccine? Usually you're injecting at least part of the shape of the virus. Sometimes you do the whole virus, but it's attenuated so it doesn't multiply too much. Sometimes you take the virus and you kill it. You won't get sick because they're not duplicating. What's typically done is you just take either a piece of the virus or just the spike, that thing on the surface, and you put it on something else. So there's no risk at all of causing the disease. One final way that's new and is promising is called the RNA vaccine. With RNA and DNA, instead of putting that shape in, you put instructions in the code to make that shape.
instead of putting that shape in, you put instructions in the code to make that shape.
And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Eventually, what we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person, because you don't want people moving around the world where you'll have some countries that won't have it under control. Sadly, you don't want to completely block off the ability for those, people to go there and come back and move around. So eventually there will be sort of this digital immunity proof that will help facilitate the global reopening up. What we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person, because you don't want people moving around the world where you'll have some countries that won't have it under control. Sadly, you don't want to completely block off the ability for those, people to go there and come back and move around. So eventually there will be sort of this digital immunity proof that will help facilitate the global reopening up.
Some countries are considering the use of an immunity passport or certificate to indicate that someone who had been infected with COVID-19 is now immune to the virus. From what we know right now about the tests that are able to measure an antibody response in an individual who has been infected with COVID-19, we don't know if that antibody response actually means that they're immune. These studies are currently underway. We're also concerned about the use of such a certificate because it may mean that someone who has the certificate will not adhere to public health measures that they need to continue to adhere to.
It's so important to get not just hundreds of millions, but literally billions of those vaccines, because this is a global problem. And although the US has got the most cases right now, as time goes on, the developing countries where isolation is more difficult and the health system is very weak, sadly, they're most likely to experience the most pain of all as this goes global.
One issue that has come up is once you do have a vaccine, how do you properly distribute it? How do you get it out quickly to
Well, when we have the vaccine, we have the military all lined up, and the military is going to be doing it in a very powerful manner. These are people that don't usually do vaccines. They do soldiers and they do lots of other things that frankly are more difficult. But we have our general, and logistically he's all set.
Look down here in the bottom. It's a fucking toilet.
It does.
Yes, sir, it does.
They have fucking toilets or toilets in them. Holy shit, dude. Those are for people.
Yeah, those are for people.
They've got toilets.
How many are there, bro?
I don't know.
Get open. The training we're conducting right now for our SDX lane is guard facility for theater operations. We run through all types of scenarios, whether it be inmate trying to escape during, let's say, a rec call where they're out in the yard getting their exercise. Or whether someone's just misbehaving in a communal cell or a segregated cell. Situations where we might be taking indirect fire. So not only are we detaining these prisoners, we also have to keep their safety and well-being in mind. So we have to make sure that we're protecting them at all costs. Get close.
What does opening up look like? Which activities like schools, have such benefit and can be done in a way that the risk of transmission is very low?
Yeah.
And which activities like mass gatherings may be, in a certain sense, more optional. And so until you're widely vaccinated, those may not come back at all.
And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus.